The silent giant awakens. The stars had never seen anything like it before. In the deep darkness of space, far from Earth's bright sun, something massive was moving. It was silent, it was huge, and it was heading toward the known galaxy. Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Empire stared at his screen. His 4 eyes went wide with shock. The readings could not be real, but there it was. A ship so big it made their greatest battleships look like toys. "Sir," his officer said with a shaky voice, "the object it's 12 kilometers long." Kextar's heart stopped beating for a moment. 12 kilometers? Their biggest warships were only 2 kilometers long. What kind of beings could build something so massive? "Where did it come from?" Kextar asked. "From the Sol system, sir." "The human system." The bridge went quiet. Every alien in the room knew about humans. They were the young species that had just discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. They were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to be harmless. They were supposed to be nothing special. But this ship, this monster of metal and power, it was anything but harmless. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Sarah Mitchell stood in the command center. She looked at the huge screen showing their greatest creation. After 200 years of planning, after decades of building in secret, the UES Titan was finally ready. "All systems are green, Admiral," reported Commander Hayes. "The Titan is ready for its first deep space mission." Sarah nodded. She remembered her grandfather's stories about the old space wars. She remembered the lessons humanity had learned the hard way. Never again would Earth be caught unprepared. Never again would humans be the weak ones in the galaxy. "Tell Captain Chen she has permission to launch," Sarah said. "It's time the galaxy met humanity properly." Captain Eleanor Chen stood on the bridge of the Titan. Around her, 300 of Earth's best officers worked at their stations. The ship hummed with quiet power. Every system was perfect. Every weapon was ready. Every shield was charged. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park from the communications station, "we're receiving multiple signals from alien ships. They're asking us to identify ourselves." Elena smiled. The galaxy had noticed them. "Good. Open a channel," she ordered. "All frequencies." The communications officer nodded. "Channel open, Captain," Elena spoke in a calm, clear voice that would be heard across 12 star systems. "This is Captain Elena Chen of the United Earthship Titan. We come in peace, but we are prepared for anything. To all civilizations receiving this message, humanity has arrived." Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched in fear and wonder. In the great halls of the Mordak Collective, General Vorthak slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible," he roared. "Humans are weak. They have no real technology. How can they build something like this?" His science officer, a thin creature with 6 arms, looked at the data again. "Sir, our sensors show the ship has power levels we have never seen before. Their shield technology appears to be at least 50 years ahead of ours." In another part of the galaxy, Queen Zelana of the Crystal Empire called an emergency meeting. Her advisors gathered around the crystal table, their faces full of worry. "Your Majesty," said her military commander, "this changes everything. If the humans have one ship like this, they might have more. We need to rethink our plans for their system." Queen Zelana nodded slowly. For decades, the great powers of the galaxy had been watching Earth. They had been waiting for the right time to make contact. Some wanted to trade with humans, others wanted to conquer them. Now, looking at the massive ship on their screens, conquest seemed like a very bad idea. Back on the Titan, Elena walked to the great window at the front of the bridge. Before them lay the Centauri Nebula, the border between human space and the rest of the galaxy. For 50 years, no human ship had crossed this line. Today, that would change. "Navigation," Elena called. "Set course for the Proxima trade route, maximum speed." "Course set, Captain." "Ready for jump." Elena took a deep breath. This moment would change history. Behind them was Earth, safe, protected, but isolated. Ahead was the unknown, millions of alien worlds, dozens of great empires, and countless mysteries. "Take us through," she ordered. The Titan's engines roared to life. Space bent around the massive ship, and in a flash of brilliant light, humanity's greatest creation jumped into the unknown. Across the galaxy, alien communication networks went silent. Every empire, every kingdom, every federation watched the same thing. A human ship had just entered their space, and nothing would ever be the same again. What the aliens didn't know yet was that the Titan wasn't just a ship. It wasn't just a symbol of human power. It was a message written in metal and energy, saying one simple thing: humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. But first, they would have to prove they deserved it. The galaxy holds its breath. The emergency alarms were ringing across 12 different star systems. In the great crystal halls of the Galactic Council, representatives from 47 alien species gathered in panic. The holographic display in the center of the room showed one thing: the massive human ship moving deeper into their space. "Order! Order!" shouted Council Leader Vexani, his three heads trying to speak at once. "We must discuss this threat calmly." But there was nothing calm about the situation. Admiral Korthak of the Drakmari Empire stood up, his scales turning dark red with anger. "Threat, this is an invasion. One human ship dares to enter our territory without permission. One ship that is bigger than our entire patrol fleet," whispered General Yetha of the insectoid swarms. Her compound eyes reflected the image of the Titan on the screen. How did they build something so massive? Queen Mother Senna of the Hive Worlds leaned forward. The question is not how they built it. The question is why they built it. And why now? Far away, on the edge of known space, Captain Eleanor Chen stood on the bridge of the Titan. The ship had been traveling for 6 hours since crossing into alien territory. The silence from the surrounding systems was unusual. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park from communications, "we're detecting massive fleet movements in 17 different systems. It looks like everyone is mobilizing." Elena nodded. She had expected this. "How many ships are we talking about, Lieutenant?" "Over 3,000 vessels, Captain. From at least 12 different species." Commander Martinez whistled low. 3,000 ships just to watch us? We must have really got their attention." Elena smiled slightly. "That was the point, Commander. For 50 years they've been watching us from the shadows. Now it's time for them to see us clearly." On the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship Stormbreaker, Admiral Kextar paced back and forth. His officers watched him nervously. The Admiral had been like this since the human ship appeared. "Sir," his navigation officer said carefully, "the human vessel has changed course. It's heading directly for the neutral trade zone." Kextar stopped pacing. The neutral zone was where different species met to trade and talk. If the humans were going there, it meant they wanted to make contact. "Prepare the fleet," Kextar ordered. "Full battle formation, sir?" his first officer asked in surprise. "Battle formation? Against one ship?" Kextar looked at the screen showing the Titan. Even from this distance, the ship looked dangerous. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light. Strange energy patterns danced around its shield projectors. "Look at that ship," Kextar said quietly. "Really look at it. Does that look like a ship built for peace?" The bridge crew stared at the image. The Titan was beautiful, but it was the beauty of a predator. Every line spoke of power. Every curve suggested deadly purpose. "No, sir," the first officer replied. "It looks like a ship built for war." Back on Earth, the war room was busy with activity. Admiral Sarah Mitchell watched reports coming in from their long-range sensors. The data was impressive and worrying. "Ma'am," reported Intelligence Officer Davis, "we're tracking major fleet movements across the galaxy. The Mordak Collective has moved their third battle group to intercept position. The Crystal Empire has activated their defense grid. Even the peaceful Gentle Ones have powered up their ships." Sarah studied the tactical display. Red dots showed enemy fleets. Blue dots showed neutral forces. There were a lot of red dots. "Any sign they want to talk?" she asked. "None, ma'am. Complete radio silence from all major powers," Sarah sighed. She had hoped for a better welcome, but humanity had learned long ago that hope was not a strategy. "Send a message to Captain Chen," Sarah ordered. "Tell her to proceed as planned, but stay alert. The galaxy is watching, and not everyone seems happy to see us." On the mining station Deep Rock 7, alien workers stopped their jobs to crowd around news screens. The footage showed the human ship moving through space like a dark whale swimming through an ocean of stars. "Look at the size of that thing." whispered Pix, a small blue alien with 4 arms. "I've never seen anything so big." "Big isn't everything," said his friend Grex, a rock-like creature from the heavy worlds. "My people build big ships too, but look at the way it moves. So smooth, so quiet. That's advanced technology." An elderly wise one named Telari shuffled closer to the screen. Her ancient eyes studied the human vessel carefully. "You're both missing the important thing," she said in her crackling voice. "What's that, grandmother?" asked Pix. Telari pointed at the screen with one thin finger. "Look at the humans. They sent one ship, just one, into a galaxy full of strangers who might be enemies." The crowd went quiet, thinking about her words. "That means one of 2 things," Telari continued. "Either they are very stupid," she paused, watching the graceful way the Titan moved through space, noting the perfect formation of its escort fighters, "or they are very, very confident." Captain Elena Chen felt that confidence as she stood on her bridge. Around her, the best officers humanity could produce worked at their stations. Behind her, the most advanced ship humans had ever built hummed with quiet power. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park, "we're receiving a transmission. It's from everyone." "Everyone?" "Yes, ma'am. All the major powers are broadcasting on the same frequency. They're demanding we stop and identify our intentions." Elena walked to her captain's chair and sat down slowly. This was the moment she had trained for her entire life. "Open a channel," she ordered. "All frequencies, maximum power." The communications board lit up like a Christmas tree. Every listening post in 12 systems would hear her words. "This is Captain Elena Chen of the United Earth ship Titan," she began, her voice carrying across the void to millions of alien ears. "We are explorers and representatives of humanity. We come seeking friendship and trade with all peaceful civilizations." She paused, letting that sink in. "However," she continued, and her voice became harder, "we are prepared to defend ourselves if threatened. We hope that won't be necessary." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, alien leaders looked at each other nervously. The humans had just delivered a message that was both a greeting and a warning, and everyone was wondering the same thing. Just how prepared were these humans? They were about to find out. First contact protocol failed. The small white ship approached slowly through the darkness of space. Captain Elena Chen watched it come closer on the main screen. The vessel was beautiful, smooth curves and glowing blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. It looked peaceful. It looked harmless. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park from communications. "The approaching ship is transmitting on standard diplomatic frequencies. They're requesting permission to come aboard." Elena studied the elegant alien vessel. After 2 days in alien space, this was their first real contact. "What do we know about them?" Commander Martinez checked his datapad. "According to our files, that's a Zephyrian diplomatic ship. The Zephyrians are one of the older civilizations. They're known for being careful." "Careful is good," Elena said. "Open a channel." The main screen changed to show an alien face. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, pale blue skin, and what looked like gills on the sides of his neck. When he spoke, his voice was musical and polite. "Greetings, humans of the ship Titan. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. We come in peace to welcome you to our part of the galaxy." Elena stood up and smoothed her uniform. First impressions mattered. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador Veltar. I am Captain Elena Chen. We are honored by your visit. May we come aboard your vessel? We have gifts and documents of friendship." Elena looked at her security chief, Commander Brooks. The woman nodded slightly. Their scanners showed the ship was lightly armed and carried only 5 beings. "Permission granted, Ambassador. Bay 7 is prepared for your arrival." 20 minutes later, Elena walked into the diplomatic meeting room. Ambassador Veltar was already there, along with 2 other Zephyrians. The aliens were tall and thin, wearing robes that seemed to shimmer like water. "Captain Chen," Veltar said, bowing in what Elena assumed was their traditional greeting. "Thank you for receiving us. We bring greetings from Emperor Keksani and gifts from our world." One of the other aliens stepped forward, carrying a crystal box. This contains samples of our art, music, and literature, a small token of friendship between our peoples. Elena accepted the box with both hands. Thank you, Ambassador. This is very kind. We too hope for friendship between our civilizations. Veltar's 4 eyes seemed to shine with pleasure. Wonderful. Now, if I may ask, your ship is quite impressive. We have never seen human technology before. Perhaps you could give us a small demonstration of your capabilities? Elena felt a warning bell go off in her mind. Something about the way he asked seemed wrong. Too eager, too interested in their weapons. I'm afraid that's not possible, Ambassador. Our technology is classified, but I'm sure we can find other ways to show our friendship. Veltar's expression didn't change, but Elena noticed his companions exchange quick glances. Of course, Captain. We understand completely. Security is important. The ambassador reached into his robes and pulled out another device. Perhaps this small gift will show our good intentions. He placed the device on the table. It was beautiful. A small pyramid made of some kind of glowing metal. This is a harmony crystal from our homeworld. It produces music that promotes peace and understanding. Elena smiled and reached toward the crystal. That's very thoughtful. The crystal exploded. The blast was tremendous. Fire and light filled the room. Elena was thrown backward, her ears ringing from the noise. Through the smoke, she saw the 3 Zephyrians pulling out weapons, but something was wrong. Elena should have been hurt. The explosion should have damaged the room. Instead, she was standing perfectly fine, and the room looked exactly the same. A blue shimmer surrounded everything. The Titan's shields had activated automatically inside the ship. Internal defense protocols active, announced the ship's computer in a calm voice. No damage detected, no injuries reported. Ambassador Veltar stared in shock. His weapon, some kind of energy pistol, was pointed at Elena, but he wasn't firing. He was too amazed to move. Impossible, he whispered. The explosion should have killed everyone in this room. How are you still alive? Elena brushed imaginary dust off her uniform and sat back down at the table. Her voice was calm and cold. Internal shields, Ambassador. Standard safety protocol on all Earth ships. The 3 aliens looked at each other in panic. Their perfect plan had failed completely. You have shields inside your ship? One of them asked in disbelief. Of course we do, Elena replied. Don't you? On the bridge, the attack had been detected immediately. Commander Martinez was already in contact with Earth Command. Admiral Mitchell, he reported over the secure channel. The diplomatic meeting was a trap. The aliens tried to kill Captain Chen with a hidden bomb. Admiral Mitchell's face on the screen was grim. Is she hurt? No, ma'am. Internal shields protected her. The aliens seem shocked that we have that technology. What's the captain's status now? She's still in the meeting room with the attackers. But ma'am, I don't think they're attackers anymore. I think they're prisoners. Back in the meeting room, Elena stood up slowly. The 3 Zephyrians backed away from her, their weapons shaking in their hands. Now then, Elena said in the same polite voice she had used for greetings. Let's try this again. You came here to test our defenses, didn't you? Veltar's 4 eyes were wide with fear. How did you know? Because we've been preparing for first contact for 200 years, Ambassador. We studied every possibility, including the possibility that the first aliens we met would try to kill us. She walked closer to them. The aliens backed against the wall. Your little test failed, Elena continued. Our shields worked perfectly. Our sensors detected your weapons the moment you came aboard. And our security teams are standing right outside that door. As if on cue, the door opened. 6 human marines in full combat armor entered the room, their weapons ready. Veltar dropped his energy pistol. It clattered on the floor. Please, he said, his musical voice now high with panic. We meant no harm. It was just a test. We had to know if you were dangerous. Elena picked up the fallen weapon and examined it. A test? You tried to murder me to test if we were dangerous? The galaxy has rules, Veltar said desperately. New species must prove themselves. If you were weak, we would have protected you. If you were strong, we needed to know how strong. Elena looked at him for a long moment. Then she started to laugh. Ambassador, she said, you have no idea how strong we are. She pressed a button on the table. The room's lights dimmed, and a holographic display appeared showing the space around the Titan. Veltar gasped. The display showed dozens of ships, human ships, that had been invisible until now. "Did you really think we would send one ship alone into unknown space?" Elena asked. "The Titan has a full escort fleet. You just couldn't see them." The ambassador stared at the display, counting ships. Fighters, destroyers, support vessels, and in the distance, what looked like another ship, as large as the Titan itself. Two Titan-class ships, he whispered. "Actually," Elena said with a smile that wasn't entirely friendly, "we built 12 of them." Veltar's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the floor, staring at Elena in complete shock. 12? He repeated. 12 ships like this one. Elena nodded. "Ambassador, you came here to test if humanity was dangerous. Let me save you some time. We are very, very dangerous, but only to people who try to kill us first." She offered him her hand to help him stand up. "Now then, shall we start over? This time with honesty." The failed assassination had taught the galaxy its first lesson about humanity. They were much better prepared than anyone had imagined, and this was only the beginning. The demonstration of power. The news of the failed assassination spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the war rooms of 12 different empires, military leaders stared at reports that seemed impossible. The humans had not only survived the attack, they had revealed a hidden fleet and claimed to have 12 massive warships. General Vorthak of the Mordak Collective slammed his armored fist on the table. "They're lying. No species builds 12 ships that size. It's impossible." But his science advisor, a nervous creature with 6 eyes, shook his head. "Sir, our long-range scanners have detected at least 4 more ships like the Titan. They're positioned throughout human space. The humans, they weren't bluffing." In another part of the galaxy, Queen Zelana of the Crystal Empire called an emergency war council. Her generals gathered around the crystal table, their faces grim. "Your Majesty," said her fleet commander, "if the humans truly have 12 ships of that size, they represent a major threat to galactic balance. We must act now before they become too powerful." Queen Zelana nodded slowly. "Gather the fleet, all available ships. If we're going to test these humans, we need to do it properly." Captain Elena Chen stood on the bridge of the Titan, watching the tactical display with growing concern. Red dots were appearing all around them. Enemy ships moving into position. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Park, "we're detecting massive fleet movements. The Mordak Collective, Crystal Empire, and Drakmari Union are all sending ships toward our position." "How many ships?" Elena asked. Commander Martinez checked his sensors. "Over 2,000 vessels, Captain. They're forming a battle line around the Kepler asteroid field." Elena studied the display. The asteroid field was a massive collection of rocks and ice, some as large as moons. It was also directly in their path to the neutral trade zone. "They're trying to force a confrontation," she said quietly. "They want to see what we can do." "Orders, Captain?" asked her weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Stone. Elena looked at the growing fleet of alien ships. They had come here for peace, but the galaxy seemed determined to test their strength first. "Open a channel to Earth Command," she ordered, "and prepare for a demonstration." Admiral Sarah Mitchell appeared on the main screen, her expression serious. "Captain, we're monitoring the situation. What's your assessment?" "Ma'am, they want a show of force. The assassination attempt was just the beginning. Now they're testing our military capabilities directly." "Rules of engagement?" Elena straightened. "No first strikes, Admiral. But if they want to see our weapons, I think we can arrange a safe demonstration." Sarah nodded. "Approved, Captain. Show them what humanity is capable of. But Elena, be careful. The whole galaxy is watching." In the asteroid field, Admiral Kekstar of the Zephyrian Empire commanded the largest fleet ever assembled in this sector. Over 2,000 ships from 6 different species floated in perfect battle formation. "All ships report ready," his communications officer announced. "The human vessel is approaching our position." Through his viewports, Kekstar could see the Titan moving steadily toward them. The human ship looked small against the massive asteroid field, but he knew that was an illusion. The vessel was enormous. "Open a channel to the human ship," he ordered. The screen showed Captain Chen standing calmly on her bridge. She looked completely unworried by the 2,000 ships pointing weapons at her. Captain Chen, Kekstar said, you are surrounded by the combined fleets of 6 galactic powers. We demand that you surrender your ship for inspection. Elena smiled. Admiral, I appreciate the impressive display, but I'm afraid we can't surrender. We have places to be. Then you will be destroyed, Kekstar replied. Your single ship cannot stand against our entire fleet. You're right, Elena agreed. One ship couldn't win this fight. Good thing we didn't bring just one ship. On Elena's bridge, every officer held their breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Computer, Elena said calmly, show them what humans call a warning shot. Warning shot target selected, the computer replied. Large asteroid designated Kepler-7. Mass, approximately lunar-sized. Distance, 50,000 kilometers. The tactical display showed a massive rock floating in space, easily as big as Earth's moon. It was far enough away that no ships would be harmed, but close enough for everyone to see clearly. All ships, this is Captain Chen. Elena broadcast to the entire fleet. Please observe, the Titan's main weapon powered up. Energy built along the ship's spine, crackling with barely contained power. The air on every bridge in the fleet seemed to hold still. Then the Titan fired. The beam of energy that shot from the human ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was pure white light, brighter than a star, and it crossed 50,000 kilometers in less than a second. When it hit the asteroid, the massive rock simply disappeared. Not exploded, not shattered, vaporized completely. One moment it was there, a mountain-sized chunk of stone and ice. The next moment it was nothing but glowing particles drifting in space. Across the alien fleet, silence fell like a blanket. On 1,000 bridges, alien commanders stared at their screens in shock. Admiral Kekstar felt his foreheart stop beating. Did they just vaporize Kepler-7? Yes, sir, his science officer whispered. Complete matter dissolution. The entire asteroid was converted to energy. I've never seen a weapon with that much power. On the Drakmari flagship, General Yoxtar's scales turned pale with fear. How much energy does it take to destroy something that large? Sir, his weapons expert replied with a shaking voice, more energy than our entire fleet generates. That single shot had more power than our main battle station. Throughout the fleet, the same conversation was happening in a dozen different languages. The humans had just demonstrated a level of technology that seemed almost impossible. Captain Elena Chen watched the alien fleet on her tactical display. Many of the ships were backing away from their previous positions. Captain, reported Lieutenant Stone from weapons, the alien fleet is breaking formation. Some ships are powering down their weapons. Good, Elena said. Open a channel to all ships. When the channel opened, Elena's voice carried across space to every vessel in the fleet. Commanders of the Galactic Fleet, what you just witnessed was our lightest ship-to-ship weapon firing at minimum power. We used it to remove an obstacle from our path. She paused, letting that information sink in. We did not fire at your ships because we come in peace. But if you force us to defend ourselves, we are prepared to do so. Another pause. We hope that won't be necessary. On his flagship, Admiral Kekstar looked at his tactical officers. How many ships like the Titan do our files say the humans have? They claim 12, sir. Kekstar did the math in his head. 12 ships, each capable of vaporizing moons with their lightest weapons. His fleet of 2,000 suddenly seemed very small. Send a message to all allied ships, he ordered. Stand down from battle stations. Resume peaceful positions, sir, his first officer asked in surprise. You saw what they did to that asteroid, Kekstar replied. Now imagine if they had fired at us instead. The officer's eyes went wide. Understood, sir. Standing down. Elena watched as the massive alien fleet slowly moved away from aggressive positions. Ships that had been pointing weapons at the Titan now turned to show their sides, a universal sign of non-hostile intent. Captain, called Commander Martinez, we're receiving messages from multiple fleet commanders. They're requesting permission to escort us to the neutral zone. Elena smiled. The demonstration had worked exactly as planned. Tell them we accept their escort. And Martinez? Yes, Captain. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell Admiral Mitchell that first contact is proceeding better than expected. As the Titan moved forward, it was no longer alone. 2,000 alien ships now flew alongside it, no longer as enemies seeking to test human strength, but as escorts showing their respect. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity didn't just build big ships to look impressive. They built them to win wars, and everyone was very glad they hadn't started one. The truth about humanity. The Great Library of Zephyria had stood for 10,000 years. Its crystal walls contained the history of every species in the galaxy. But today, for the first time in centuries, the library's computers were working at maximum power. Scholar Yelnara stood before the massive data screens, her 4 eyes scanning through files about the species called humans. What she found made her heart race with fear. "Impossible," she whispered. "This cannot be correct." Her assistant, a young scholar named Kex Uri, looked up from his research terminal. "What did you find, Master?" Yelnara pointed at the screen with a shaking finger. "Look at their military history. Look at how long they have been fighting wars." Keksuri read the data, his eyes growing wider with each line. "Master, according to this, humans have been at war with each other for over 5,000 years. Not just at war," Yelnara corrected, "constantly at war. Look at the numbers. In the last century alone, they fought 2 global wars that killed millions of their own people." Keksuri scrolled through more data. World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. He stopped counting. "Master, they never stopped fighting. Even when they achieved peace, they prepared for the next war." Yelnara sat down heavily in her chair. "Do you understand what this means? Most species fight 1 or 2 major wars in their entire history. Humans have fought hundreds. They consider warfare to be normal." Meanwhile, in the depths of the Mordak war archives, General Vorthak was making his own disturbing discoveries. His research team had been studying human military tactics since the asteroid demonstration. "General," reported his intelligence officer, "we've analyzed human battle strategies from their historical records. The results are concerning." "Show me," Vorthak growled. The holographic display showed various human battles throughout history. Ancient armies with swords and shields, medieval knights on horseback, soldiers with rifles in trenches, modern tanks rolling across fields. "Sir, humans have been perfecting the art of war for millennia. Look at this progression. They never stop improving their weapons and tactics." The display showed the evolution of human warfare, from clubs to nuclear weapons in just a few thousand years. "They developed new ways to fight faster than any species we've studied," the officer continued. "And sir, they use their own people as test subjects." "What do you mean?" Vorthak asked. "They fight practice wars against each other. They call them military exercises and war games. They spend years preparing for battles that might never happen." Vorthak stared at the data. "Most species only fought when they had to. Humans fought to stay sharp." "General," his officer said quietly, "I don't think the humans see war as something terrible. I think they see it as practice." On the bridge of the Titan, Captain Elena Chen was unaware of the research being conducted across the galaxy. She was focused on their approach to the neutral trade station. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park, "we're receiving multiple requests for information about Earth's military capabilities. It seems everyone wants to know more about us." Elena nodded. The demonstration had worked too well. Now everyone was curious about humanity's background. "Any specific requests?" she asked. "Admiral Kekstar of the Zephyrians is asking about our military training programs. Queen Zilana wants to know about our shipbuilding capacity. The Drakmari are asking about our combat experience." Elena smiled slightly. "They're trying to figure out how dangerous we really are." Commander Martinez looked up from his station. "Captain, should we be worried? If they learn about our history—" "They'll learn eventually," Elena replied. "Better they hear it from us than discover it on their own." In the Crystal Empire's royal palace, Queen Zilana sat in her throne room, surrounded by her advisors. Before her floated a holographic report about human civilization. "Your Majesty," said her science advisor, "the human homeworld. It's remarkable. They have over 7 billion people living on one planet. 7 billion? Queen Zelana leaned forward. How is that possible? Most species spread to multiple worlds when their population reaches 1 billion. That's not the unusual part, Your Majesty. According to our research, they managed to feed and organize 7 billion people while fighting constant wars among themselves. The Queen's crystal-like features darkened with concern. Constant wars? Yes, Majesty. Their planet is divided into nearly 200 separate nations. These nations compete with each other for resources, territory, and power, sometimes through trade, sometimes through warfare. Another advisor stepped forward. Your Majesty, we've discovered something else. The humans didn't just build 12 ships like the Titan. According to their industrial records, they can build them faster than any species we know. How much faster? A Titan-class ship takes them approximately 2 years to complete. Our best shipyards need 20 years to build something half that size. Queen Zelana stood up from her throne. Are you telling me that while we've been watching them for 50 years, they've been mass-producing warships? Yes, Your Majesty. And Your Majesty, there's something else. The Queen waited. They're not building these ships to conquer other worlds. According to our intelligence, they're building them to defend against threats they haven't even met yet. Back on the library world of Zephyria, scholar Yelnara had made the most disturbing discovery of all. She called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Intelligence Council. Representatives from 40 different species gathered in the crystal chamber, their faces showing concern and confusion. Fellow scholars, Yelnara began, I have completed my research on human military history. What I found changes everything we thought we knew about this species. The great screen behind her showed images of human soldiers throughout history. Humans don't just fight wars, she said. They study war. They wrote books about it thousands of years ago and still read them today. They have schools where they teach young people how to fight battles. She clicked to the next image, human military academies. They have something called military academies where their brightest minds spend years learning strategy, tactics, and leadership. Every human military officer studies the great battles of their past. A representative from the Peaceful Collective raised his hand. Surely this is just historical interest? Yelnara shook her head. No, they use these lessons in their current planning. A human general today might use a strategy that was first developed 3,000 years ago. She brought up more data. But here's the most important discovery. Humans don't see war as failure. They see it as inevitable. The chamber fell silent. Most species fight wars when diplomacy fails, Yelnara continued. Humans plan for war while conducting diplomacy. They have a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. She clicked to the final slide. Images of human space installations. They didn't build 12 Titan-class ships because they wanted to conquer the galaxy. They built them because they assumed the galaxy might try to conquer them. The silence in the chamber was complete. Fellow beings, Yelnara concluded, we have spent 50 years debating whether to make contact with humanity, whether they were ready to join galactic civilization. She paused, looking around the room at the worried faces. I believe we have been asking the wrong question. The question isn't whether humans are ready for the galaxy. The question is whether the galaxy is ready for humans. Captain Elena Chen stood at the great windows of the Titan's observation deck. Outside, the neutral trade station grew larger as they approached. Around them, escort ships from 6 different alien empires maintained protective formations. Captain, Commander Martinez joined her at the window. The alien fleets are still with us. They're not leaving. They're curious, Elena replied. They want to understand us. And when they do understand? When they learn about the Crusades, the World Wars, the Cold War. When they discover that humans have been preparing for interstellar warfare since we first looked at the stars. Elena was quiet for a moment, watching the stars. Then they'll make a choice, Commander. They can fear us, fight us, or join us. She turned from the window. But either way, they'll respect us. As the Titan approached the trade station, data about humanity continued to spread across the galaxy. Species that had considered themselves great warriors now understood they were children compared to a race that had turned warfare into an art form. The galaxy was about to learn that humans didn't just build powerful ships. They had been preparing for this moment for thousands of years, respect through strength. The challenge came at dawn. Ship time. Captain Elena Chen stood on the bridge of the Titan, reading the formal message that had just arrived from the combined fleet command. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly, but she could feel the tension in the air. "Captain," Lieutenant Park called from communications, "we have response confirmations from all 6 alien fleet commanders. They're accepting the War Games proposal." Elena nodded grimly. After learning about humanity's military history, the alien civilizations had made their decision. They wanted proof. They wanted to see if human warriors were really as skilled as their reputation suggested. "What are the rules of engagement?" asked Commander Martinez. Elena consulted the message. "Simulated combat, no live weapons, electronic warfare only. Human tactical teams versus their best military units. Winner takes all." "Takes all of what, Captain?" Elena looked up at her crew. "Respect, Commander. If we win, they acknowledge humanity as equals. If we lose," she paused, "if we lose, we submit to galactic oversight and reduce our fleet by half." The bridge went silent.